I am Dockery, founder of the BE Foundation, and this is my BE story. My story is one of fatherlessness, anger, and forgiveness. I was born and raised in small town eastern North Carolina, and being from a small town, I didn't see a whole lot of examples of success, or I wasn't around a lot of successful people that strive for anything more beyond where they were. Looking back, I learned to take the good with the bad, and I wouldn't say we were poor at all, but my mother worked at a sewing factory for 10 years, making $5.27 an hour. She used to tell me stories about how she wanted to be a flight attendant, but she put those plans on the back burner for me and made the sacrifice of raising me early in my life to make sure I had the right platform to be successful. My mother and father divorced before I was 2 years old. I can remember her telling me stories of how he was physically abusive or an alcoholic, how he threw a plate at her and she ducked and it stuck in the wall, or how he hit her in the eye with a beer bottle. And to this day, she still can barely see out of that eye. I just met my father in 2009. It was Christmas Day, actually. He walked in, stood over me, kind of stretched his arms out like, "Hi, I'm home," almost as if he had been on a tour of duty in Iraq or something. So we went in another room and he proceeded to continue to apologize to me over and over and over again about how he was so sorry and remorseful about what happened, and how he left us as a kid and as a family. I'm sorry, please forgive me." And while he was apologizing, I just stopped him. I just said, "Listen, you don't need to apologize to me anymore. I forgive you. I forgive you for not being there. I forgive you for not being there to share those moments with me that I would cherish for the rest of my life. And today, I forgive you." About a year after my mom and dad divorced, she met my stepfather. And it took me a while to figure this out, but I was basically looking for him to fulfill that void left by my father, and he just couldn't do it. I was expecting something out of him that he couldn't do. I remember being rejected by him as well. There were always arguments about money or secrets or just dysfunction. So over the next 25 years or so, I dealt with the anger. I never said anything to him about this, but I honestly hated him in the inside. And I never said anything to him about it until last year, Christmas Day, again, was the first time I actually said something to him one-on-one and really poured my feelings out to him and tried to tell him how I felt about everything. And it totally exploded. It turned into an altercation. But at the end of the day, I released my anger and I told him really how I felt about things, and it was like a weight being lifted off of me after that. I never resented my mother for staying. I always admired her strength and her tolerance to be able to stay in something like that. I just tried to do the best thing I could. I saw it as doing my part to make sure that I brought a smile to her face and that she was proud of me. That's the one thing that I wanted. I just wanted her to be proud of me. So in high school, I met my vocational ag teacher, and that's really the first man in my life that I felt like really was invested in my success, that really genuinely wanted me to be successful. Through him, I was exposed to college. I was exposed to a level of thinking outside of just the next day. It was more so about, after high school, now what? So I graduated high school and I left and went to college. I graduated college, North Carolina A&T, and I went on to Minneapolis. I got to Minneapolis and I hated it. It was a complete disaster. I didn't like it. I worked there for some months and I moved back to North Carolina, where I wasn't able to find a job right away. I was being flown all over the country by these companies, Ford, Kellogg, GE, all these major companies where I was interviewing with them, but I was rejected by all of them. After I got all this good feedback, "You're great, you're exactly what we want," but I would get a letter or a phone call saying, "We chose another candidate." It was very confusing. So I got to a point where after 6 months of flying all over the country with these companies, I just decided, you know what, I almost gave up. Right before I gave up, I got the position that eventually led me to come to Dallas. And from that experience, I've learned, I was able to coach other people, and I was able to help other people maximize their career experience and preparing for interviews and resume writing and things like that. And since then, I've been able to just really help people maximize their effectiveness when it comes to looking for jobs and positions and things like that. So I realized that I had to go through that for a reason. You hear a lot of people say purpose is, pursue your passion, find your purpose, which is still a lot of ways true. One of the things I found was that if you uncover a lot of, if you look at the greatest thing you've had to overcome, or you look at your life, you look back over your life and you look at the thing that challenged you most, or you look at that thing that you really had to face, obstacle, a lot of times that gives you the passion that you have to find your purpose. My story is not unique. I'm not the only person without a father. I'm not the only person who's been rejected by a stepfather, or I'm not the only person who struggled to find a job, or just different things like that. But what I have learned is that my struggle propelled me into my purpose. And that's what leads me to my B moment. Throughout college and my professional career, I've always had an affinity for mentoring young people. It wasn't always formal, but I got the greatest gratification out of encouraging a young person to do the right thing. I can remember one instance in particular. I had 3 third-grade boys in Indianapolis at an elementary school there. It had been about a year, and I got the opportunity to come to Dallas. So I came in one day and I said, "Hey guys, I am moving to Dallas. I have to go there tomorrow and find a house." So they just kind of like shrugged it off, almost as if I was joking or something. So I left that week and I came back the following week and I said, "Hey guys, tomorrow is my last day. I'm moving to Dallas for a job. My job is moving me to Dallas." And I'll never forget it. One of the boys looked up and said, "You can't go. So you all we got." And to this day, those words resonate with me. I still hear them. And it's one of the things that drive me to do what I do. And it caused me to seek a deeper level of understanding of my role and my impact that I would have in the lives of young people. I was driving one day in Wichita Falls, Texas, and I just kept hearing B, 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 B. And so that's how I came up with the B Foundation. And I envisioned an organization at that time that would nurture success, that would prepare young people for success, and that would provoke them to act on their potential.